Serephina'S had always loved the ocean. It was her home, her world. The water was her playground. The coral reefs her hidden treasures, and the sea creatures her friends. But despite the beauty around her, something inside her heart always felt a little empty. She had long, flowing hair that shimmered in the soft light of the underwater caves, and her scales gleamed like silver in the sunlight that filtered through the waves. Her friends and family in the underwater kingdom were kind, and they loved the sea as much as she did. They would dance through the currents and sing songs of their own, songs of the sea and its wonders. But Serafina couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more out there, something beyond the deep waters. Every day as she swam, she would look up toward the surface of the ocean. It was beautiful there too, with the bright blue sky and the sun shining down on the water. Sometimes she could see ships in the distance, their sails filled with wind as they traveled across the ocean. The people on the ships would laugh and talk, and sometimes she thought she could hear their voices carried on the wind. It made her curious. She wondered who they were, what their world was like. The thing that confused her the most was a song. It wasn't a song like the ones the mermaids sang under the water. It wasn't from the whales or the dolphins or the ocean's soft breeze. This was different. It was a human song, one that always seemed to float down from above the water. Serafina had heard it for as long as she could remember. The song would rise from the waves at night, soft and haunting, like a lullaby carried by the wind. It made her feel like she was part of something big, something important. But it also made her feel lonely, as if the song was calling her, telling her that she didn't belong in the sea that she was meant to. Serafina couldn't ignore the pull of the song. It was more than just curiosity now. It was a feeling deep inside her, like a calling she couldn't resist. She knew she had to find the source of the song. She had to know why it made her feel this way. So, one evening, as the last rays of the sun melted into the horizon, she made a decision. "I'm going to the surface," she whispered to herself. It wasn't an easy decision. The other mermaids often spoke of the dangers above the waves, the ships that could trap or hurt you, the creatures that lived in the shallow waters, and even the strange weather that could turn in an instant. But Serafina didn't care about the dangers anymore. The song had called her too strongly. As she swam upward, her heart raced with excitement. The deeper water started to fade away, and the world above began to reveal itself. The surface was closer now, shimmering with soft light from the moon. The ocean above was calm, and as Serafina broke through the water's surface, she was greeted by the vast, open sky. The cool night air kissed her face as she gazed around. The world above was unlike anything she had ever seen. The stars twinkled above, stretching endlessly across the sky. The sound of the waves lapping gently against the shore was comforting, and in the distance, she could see the shape of a ship, its sails high in the air as it sailed toward the horizon. But it wasn't the ship that caught her attention, it was a song, the voice. It was closer now. The voice was soft, sweet, and full of longing, just like the voice she had heard in her dreams. Serafina looked around, trying to spot the source. Then, she saw him. A young man stood at the edge of the ship, looking out over the water. His hair was dark and tousled by the wind, and he had a look of sadness in his eyes. He was singing. The words were unclear from where Seraphina floated, but the melody was unmistakable. It was the same song she had heard all her life. Her heart skipped a beat. This was it. This was the person behind the song. The man continued to sing, his voice full of emotion, like he was pouring his soul into every note. Serephina'S heart ached. She wanted to get closer, to hear him better, to understand why his song resonated with her so deeply. Without sinking, she swam closer to the ship. As she neared, the man suddenly stopped singing. He looked down into the water, his gaze landing right on Serafina. Her heart froze for a moment. She wasn't sure if he could see her clearly, but she could feel his eyes on her. She had never been this close to a human before, and for a moment, she wasn't sure what to do. But then, something unexpected happened. The man smiled, a gentle smile that warmed Serafina's heart. "Are you real?" he asked softly, as if speaking to the night itself. "Or am I dreaming?" Serafina blinked in surprise. Did he just speak to her? She opened her mouth to answer, but no words came. Instead, she just nodded, unsure of what to say. The man seemed to take her silence as an answer. His smile grew a little wider. "I knew it. I knew I wasn't just imagining things." He laughed softly to himself, almost as if he were in disbelief. "I've been hearing that song for so long now, and I thought I was the only one who could hear it. But you're real." Serafina felt a strange connection to this man. His voice, his song, it was like they were meant to meet, meant to share something together. But she still didn't understand it. Why had the song called to her? Why had it led her to him? The man knelt down near the edge of the ship, leaning over the railing as if he wanted to get closer to Serafina. He reached out a hand, as though he were trying to touch the water where she hovered. "I don't know who you are," he said, "but I've been waiting for you. I've always known you'd come. The song, it's been calling to me for as long as I can remember." Serafina's heart raced. He was waiting for her? She didn't understand. How could he have known? Suddenly, the ship lurched slightly, and the man straightened up, pulling away from the railing. Serafina backed away instinctively, afraid the ship might move and leave her behind. "I have to go," he said, his voice soft with regret. "But maybe we'll meet again. You've been a part of my dreams for so long, and now that I've found you, I don't want to let go." Serafina didn't know what to say. Her feelings were swirling inside her: confusion, wonder, and a strange sense of connection to this human she had never met before. She wanted to stay. She wanted to understand more. But the ship began to drift away, and with it, the man. As the ship sailed off into the distance, Serafina felt a deep longing in her chest. The song was still echoing in her mind, but now, it felt different, darker, more mysterious. She knew she couldn't leave things like this. There was something between her and the man that she needed to understand. With a deep breath, Serafina dove back into the water, her heart full of questions and her mind spinning with possibilities. She had no idea where the journey would take her, but she knew one thing for sure. The song had only just begun, and it was calling her to something much greater than she had ever imagined.